Good afternoon. We are pleased to present our plan, Fixed in Flux, Eagles Island through Dynamic Eras. From our initial meetings, it was clear that stakeholders sought a park design that supports regional connection, stewards a healthy ecosystem, and celebrates Gullah Geechee heritage. As we considered how to achieve these goals on this site, our team realized that a truly resilient design would embrace the dynamism of Eagles Island. Eagles Island has a rich history that has seen the land shaped for human use, but its ecological character is also rooted in change as a tidal freshwater marsh. From daily fluctuations in water to large-scale alterations in landform, the only constant on Eagles Island is change. It is a place that is fixed in flux.
One of the most significant drivers of change at Eagles Island is sea level rise. The latest NOAA projections published in February 2022 indicate that sea level will rise at least 1 foot by 2050, regardless of interventions to lower greenhouse gas emissions. For us, sea level rise is not an existential threat to the island, as much as the condition to design with. 1 foot of sea level rise will result in considerable changes to Eagles Island and what dry land sits above the mean high water level. Sea level rise is often framed as a conversation about loss, but we see it just as much value and opportunity in land that may become inundated as a dry landscape. Because of this, we take a long view approach by designing with time and change in mind. Our strategic response adapts to future conditions, ensuring that Eagles Island will be accessible and enjoyable for current and future generations.
In 2030, we focus on increasing access to the island, taking advantage of vulnerable landforms and setting up future interventions. In 2060, we introduce access and programming in the dredge spoils, which will be particularly resilient as sea levels rise. Our plan for 2090 embraces the water with new ways to access the visitor center and dredge park and new amenities within the rice canals. To increase island access, especially as sea levels rise, we are planning for a ferry system to travel around Eagles Island. Stops in Wilmington, Belleville, and Navassa capitalize on existing parking infrastructure to bring people to Eagles Island. Our team has divided our focus among 3 primary areas: Battleship Park, the remnant rice canals, and the dredge spoils. We will address these areas not only in the present, but also at 3 points in the future to show the opportunities available to the park as the environment changes.
I was inspired by the style of historic waterfront buildings in coastal cities. Structures I refer to for the present respond to their waterfront conditions, each with unique elements such as roofline and columns. The new building is reflecting the old spirit with a modern style, past, present, and the future. The total size of the building is 8,615 square feet. The program was meant to attract visitors of the island and Wilmington as well. The building is oriented toward the city of Wilmington. It's also oriented like the old waterfront warehouse that used to be on the other side of the island. The building was meant to be vernacular, resilient due to its location and the weather in the site. The program is designed to have a harmony with the Battleship Museum and Wilmington. Also, the building has these columns that shifted it above flood level. It's also created a good view toward Wilmington. An observation tower is added to the program to give a panoramic view and unique view of the island and Wilmington. Within an hour, you can grab a lunch at a restaurant, rent kayaks, and meet a park ranger for a guided tour.
Our decision to site the visitor center and surrounding landscape prioritizes resilience and connections to nature. In creating this study model, we realized it was critical that the center be located on high ground and still meaningfully engage with the Cape Fear River waterfront. The relationship to water extends beyond the building, connecting visitors to the waterfront from USS North Carolina all the way to the soon-to-be replaced Cape Fear Memorial Bridge. This part of the Eagles Island riverfront has hosted many industrial uses in its history. Shown in green, a restored natural shoreline stabilizes the island's edge, connecting to similar efforts made by the USS North Carolina. Kayakers paddle up to the center's boat launch or arrive at the terminal, shown at the north side of the site, by ferry from Wilmington, Brunswick County, and other ferry locations. On temperate days, visitors flock to outdoor seating along the boardwalk and in the square plaza, shaded by umbrellas and the building shadow. 2/3 of a mile of boardwalk fronts the natural shoreline, weaving through tidal freshwater marsh and the Eagles Island ship graveyard. Whether you're a naturalist seeking to spot an osprey, a history buff spending the day learning about Wilmington's maritime roots, or a weekly visitor taking your favorite scenic jog, there is something for you to discover or revisit here. Visitors to Eagles Island need options to arrive. A ferry terminal at the end of USS North Carolina Road is a key node within the island's ferry system. As NCDOT and WMPO decide the future of the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge, we believe there is a strong case for pedestrian and bicycle access across the river. In order to accommodate special events and those using adaptive mobility devices, an access drive and 33-space parking lot is sited next to the Visitor Center building. We'll now discuss another part of the island, the remnant rice canals, and their place within the vision for Eagles Island.
As one of the more vulnerable areas of the island to changes in sea level, we hope to encourage exploration of the rice canals in the near term. Fortunately, this unique landform is situated among several existing or future parks that have water access. We will partner with at least one park each in Leland, Navassa, Belleville, and Wilmington to create a boat share program that makes exploration more accessible for visitors. Boat shares follow the bike share model, allowing visitors to rent kayaks from one park and return them at any other boat share location. Tours on motorized watercrafts will also be available to accommodate different physical abilities. To ease navigation, Blueway trails will be mapped and marked within canals using a color coordinating system similar to that used in hiking trails. Along each trail, kayakers will be able to rest at floating docks that we call paddle pauses. These places of rest will vary in size to host large educational outings or smaller recreational groups. They will have kayak slips for easy docking, be placed near rice canals and larger waterways, and offer shade and seating for visitors. To increase educational and aesthetic value of these sites, bays of floating wetlands will be incorporated into the floating docks. Because the marshland of Eagles Island is difficult to traverse, these wetlands will allow visitors to closely interact with the ecosystem surrounding them. These wetlands also offer additional ecosystem services for the waterway. Because the root systems come in direct contact with the water, the plantings can offer treatment benefits and improve water quality. The floating docks will be accessible through tidal fluctuations because of the anchors used. These anchors keep the dock in the same location, but allow it to move vertically with high and low tides. We want visitors to explore the unique landform of the remnant rice canals, but also honor the history of these spaces. We will educate visitors about those who built and worked within the canals using interpretive signage throughout the trails. Content of these signs will be developed in partnership with the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor to help realize the vision of the multi-use Greenway Blueway Trail. From this culturally significant space in the northern portion of Eagles Island, we will now move south to another distinct landscape with its own unique history.
We're interested in exploring possible uses of the lower half of Eagles Island starting in 2060 after phytoremediation. While all of Eagles Island has a history of being shaped for human use, the dredge swale area has been altered beyond recognition from its pre-colonial state. The perimeter berm sits at 24 feet above sea level, creating a unique condition in the relatively flat landscape. The dredge swale is currently uninhabitable for humans due to environmental hazards, and the current use of the land creates an island roughly the size of New York City's Central Park. If downtown Wilmington sat inside the berm, it would hold everything from Harnett Street to Greenfield Park. And if the perimeter road were stretched linearly, it would reach from Longleaf Mall to Belleville. We are aware of the expected increase in population in Brunswick and New Hanover County. As existing ecological and recreational spaces within Wilmington and surrounding communities come under threat from sea level rise, the value of the former dredge spoils becomes increasingly apparent. As we look forward to the not so distant future, we want to imagine ways to transform this landscape and imagine new ways of inhabiting it. How can this space, a landscape formed from waste deposits, be beautiful and ecologically functional? What kind of experiences, recreation, and community spaces are possible here? We're now going to focus on the pedestrian bridge. Beginning with arrival, data collected from the activity tracking app Strava illustrates complete disconnect existing between recreation networks east and west of the Cape Fear River. Bridging this gap, the pedestrian bridge connects Belleville Riverwalk Park to the former dredge spoils. Spanning the vast distance of a landscape shaped by nature and machine, the bridge operates as a horizontal datum, allowing the ability to read the dramatic effects of previous land use on Eagles Island and its dynamic future with climate change. Along the datum, a boathouse allows visitors to descend to water level and experience the dynamics of the environment at a tactile level. Imagine as both functional and as an educational tool, the structured interaction with climate change becomes a measurement of flux.
The pedestrian bridge ties into the 7-mile perimeter path that runs along the berm. We envision a series of destinations along this perimeter, structures that mediate between this elevated vantage point and a wild naturalistic interior and a marshy exterior where the boundary is shifting due to sea level rise. The interior of the dredge spoils is currently a prime habitat for migratory birds. However, it also contains contaminants, including heavy metals like arsenic. It's not currently usable for humans and poses potential threats to wildlife. We would propose phytoremediation in this area starting in 2032. After the spoils are decommissioned by the Army Corps of Engineers with plants such as sunflower, carex, and willow. After remediation, we can envision rewilding with plants native to the coastal plain. With proper remediation, this area will be appropriate for human use by 2060 and will be well on its way to providing increasingly essential habitat in the growing Wilmington metro area. Moving down to the southmost point of the site, we're imagining a pier that extends out to the current edge of the water. In addition to being a destination point at the southern end of the island, the pier acts as a datum, measuring sea level rise and changing tides, while also providing many scales of individual experience, from looking out over the horizon to a vantage point in the canopy of the dredge spoils, to a path that leads you into the rewilded area for more intimate connection to nature. The proposed pier would be finned by vertical elements that are angled in such a way that they change depending on the perspective from which you see them, appearing at turns opaque and more transparent, both fixed and in flux. I'm still trying to figure out what form they will take in plan view, but these are a couple of concepts I'm considering. This rigid structure provides a measure of the surrounding organic landscape, gauging change while providing diverse experiences of and with the natural world. Spaces like the ones we presented today have the potential to transform this landscape of waste into a destination for locals and visitors alike. So while sea level rise is often framed as a conversation around loss, our plan for Eagles Island conveys a unique opportunity for park stakeholders in this uncertain future. You have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to create a park that generations will treasure.